Hey everyone, welcome back to Fish Pond Farm. Daylight savings is messing me up so much right now. So it is almost 2:30 in the morning and here I am recording Stardew Valley. I hate spring daylight savings. The fall one is nice. Spring one is the worst, and whoever decided that it should happen right before finals week is awful. It is the week before finals week right now, so it's busy and hectic, and I really hate daylight savings time. In this game, I don't think they have daylight savings time, which is awesome. But, yeah, it's been weird adjusting, because all day I felt like it's not the time that it is, and, like, having to go to school and get all my homework done and stuff is just rough right now. Which I know is, like, kind of petty problems, but also I hate it. But I love Stardew Valley, so this is a good way to end the night, or start ending the night. I should probably actually do more homework than I have done so far after this, but yeah, it's messing me up. Like, I did not go to bed until like 5 a.m. yesterday, and then it was just, like, so hard to get out of bed, and I feel like that's how a lot of people feel about daylight savings time. But I don't know, for some reason this year was particularly rough. I'm gonna do morals for once. I haven't really done that one before, I think. But yes. I am trying to stay on top of all of my stuff that I'm doing. I'm gonna actually sell this apple because it's a cool one. I still planted the wrong things in here, so eventually I will have to get that fixed once they're done. No! That's not supposed to be in there. Okay, well, now there's something in a keg that isn't supposed to be there either, but oh well, I'll get to that one as well. Wait a minute, what the heck do they want? I did not notice that they wanted a thing before. Acorns. I can do that. It's convenient having it so close to where I have all my stuff. Alright. This may be the fastest I've ever gotten a fish, the thing they want, since initially looking at what it was. I cannot get through. It's getting so much harder to walk in here now, which I know will only get worse, but that is the sacrifice that I must make for these fish ponds. I need to not have a thing that offers me to eat it every time I click anything. These wanted the bass, but I don't have that right now. Ah, yes, these are done. Perfect. Okay. Let's go with... Let's do caviar today. Just because I feel like I've been having somewhat low income recently compared to the day that my basement finished, so we'll do caviar. It's very expensive, so then there we go. As someone who's never tried caviar and who thinks that the idea of what caviar is a little gross, I don't understand why it's so expensive. and I don't mean to, like, insult people that like caviar or anything. There are a bunch of, in my mind, less weird foods that I also think are gross because I'm autistic and I am very specific about foods. Like, my mom, I was home for the weekend, just this last weekend, and my mom made tapioca. And personally, I cannot stand the texture of tapioca. And I know it's like a common food, and it's also basically what boba is, but I also hate boba. And like tons of people like it. So I'm not trying to like offend anyone who really likes it, but also, I don't know, the idea of eating fish eggs, which is about caviar, not tapioca, it just is weird to me. I am also very picky about seafood, especially. My dad has a non-serious, just kind of like nauseous kind of allergy to seafood, a lot of kinds, and so when I was really little, I would eat some seafood if he was away on like an overnight work thing. But I haven't really had any since I was probably like... I used to have shrimp specifically, but I haven't had that in like over 10 years. And I don't really feel strongly that I want to. I eat exactly 2 kinds of fish. And that's pretty much it for seafood. I mean, I guess I eat seaweed too. But, so it's kind of ironic that I have a whole farm based off of like fish pond stuff, but then I also sell so much roe as food and caviar as food, but it's not something that I would eat myself. Okay. It's early enough that I think, because I have massive amounts of money now, I should go try to get geodes done, because number 1, why not? And number 2, I have money, and number 3, I need stone, and I might get some from there. So this feels like a convenient use of time. I could also go to the mines again, but I might do that some other time, because... Ooh, also there's Blackberry Forager. He's not here! Why is he not here today? Ah, I had my genius strategy and then he just doesn't show up. Oh well. Does that mean it's his birthday? Isn't there a thing where he... No. Isn't there a thing where he just doesn't show up to his house on his birthday or something? And you have to go find him? No, it's Elliot's birthday. Ah. Well. I can do stuff about that because I happen to know Elliot's favorite gifts. I am so bad about everyone's birthdays in this game. The only one that I consistently remember is Linus's, because obviously he's my favorite. But I also just never give people things on their birthdays. Linus sometimes. But anyway, I have a couple of different playthroughs where I'm working toward perfection at various different rates. So I should really start paying attention to birthdays more so that I can have friends. But also, I really do not make that a priority at all. Okay. Ah, he's not here. I will find him eventually. That sounds a little creepy. After just walking into his house and he's not there, and then the immediate response is, I'll find him eventually. Okay. He's not hiding over here. Nope. Didn't think so. He's probably at the saloon or on the other dock, because sometimes he goes and hangs out there. I'm gonna make sure he didn't sneak past. Okay, this is sounding creepy. This is like the time I stalked Sam for a really long time to give him something for a quest. Alright. Aha! I knew I would find him. That's not what I meant to do. Ah, yes. Sitting at desks all day will do that. I have not had as much issues with stiff legs from sitting at a desk all day, but for me, my back gets sore if I sit in a specific one of my chairs for too long, because it's not the most designed for sitting in for hours at a time. It's like a dining chair, so it's designed for, like, it's comfortable if you sit there for, like, a few minutes to, like, an hour for a meal with either yourself if you live alone or your family, which is where it would probably take more like an hour than if you're just by yourself. But anyway, it's not designed for, like, live streaming or recording things for multiple hours. I actually currently don't own a single, like, desk chair because the one I used to have that was like one of the leather swivelly ones, I had it, and then it was like the fake leather, so I had it for years and it sort of started to disintegrate and was leaving little flecks of black all over everything. And then Cosmos tried to eat them, and then it just wasn't a good situation, so I got rid of it. And I'm trying to figure out, I thought someone needed one of these, but I don't think so. But yeah, like, I got rid of that desk chair, like, a couple years ago. And ever since, I use one chair that's kind of, like, a little bit throne-like almost, and then another one that's just a kitchen chair. So, the one I'm using now is the more throne-like one, and I'm not gonna restart that stuff yet. Anyway, so this one is actually pretty comfortable. It's a little less comfortable when Cosmos is trying to sit on the side and, like, squishing me into the arm of it, but overall it's pretty comfortable. And Cosmos isn't here right now, so since he's still back home with my parents while I do finals week awfulness. Or pre-finals week. For me, most of the time, the week before finals week is actually the worst week, because so far I have had very few actual exam finals in most of my classes. And so I occasionally have presentations during the actual finals week. And this quarter I know I have one presentation and one actual final, but the final exam that's an actual test is online, and I can just pick any day when it's open to do it, which is really nice, because that was the class that we had to have a proctored midterm, and proctored tests stress me out so much. Like, even when I'm not doing anything wrong and, like, physically can't be doing anything wrong, because obviously they're watching all the time, it's like driving near a police car and you suddenly feel like you're breaking every law in existence, even if you're driving exactly the speed limit and like not doing anything else you're not supposed to be doing. But luckily the midterm was proctored, but she said that the final is not proctored, which means that we can just take it whenever we want, and as long as we get it done by the time it's done, then, or by the time it's due, then we're all good, which is so much nicer for me. And then I had a project that I was finishing up for like a little podcast episode for one of my classes, but most of my classes are just projects at the end rather than tests, so this week is way busier than next week, even though next week is actual finals week. But what I should try to do is start packing a little bit of stuff that I will not need for the next couple of months, because, like I have mentioned a few times, I am moving again already soon, which is weird, because at the end of the school year, which is only a couple months away now, I'm moving again, and I have some stuff like jigsaw puzzles that I've finished that I want to try and pack and bring home with me for spring break to put in my room at my parents' house as like a storage thing, just so that I don't have to worry about dealing with this later, and also because since Cosmos isn't here right now, I can put them in my car more easily without having to keep him inside while carrying him out and all that, or keep him inside while carrying them out. Also, I have so much cheese in my inventory right now. Yay. 24 new pieces of cheese today. So yeah. And I need to do so much recording before I go home for spring break, so it's chaotic. I also really need to actually post the moving vlog from when I moved into this house, because I talked about that in a different video. I am awful about posting moving vlogs because I always film them and I get so much done filming during the actual move and sometimes a bit before it. But then I'm always like, I need to get the house to the way that I'm living in it before I finish it, because I need to show like the finalized version of the rooms. And I've done this so many times, and then I just don't ever get it to a point where I feel like I've gotten it to a point to film that early on, and then things get dirty, and then it's like, okay, well, now, like, is it even too late? And I don't want to waste everything that I already filmed, and it just gets into this whole cycle, and it's happened so many times. But what I have started doing recently is, like, obviously I live here, I'm super busy with school things. My eggplants are done. things are just a little chaotic, and so it's hard for me to keep all my house clean all the time. So I am trying to film one room at a time, whenever it's cleanest, and then finish that. I will have that out before I move again. It just might be a little close. The good thing is that when I move again, I am moving home, which means that I will probably not have to do another moving vlog for a while. So, I'm not the best at editing vlogs in general, just because, they do take a lot more steps than editing, just a gaming video, which, for me, typically when I'm editing a vlog, I have to transfer all of the clips to my computer, and then I have to edit them. I have to make sure that the noise levels on every single clip are all consistent. Like, I was editing my camping vlog last year, and there were a lot of clips where the wind, when we were paddleboarding, was just really loud and kind of painful to listen to, so I had to deal with like all of the audio levels and just all of that stuff, and then having to deal with that, plus then also trying to make sure that like I'm not showing anything that shouldn't be shown. Like, if I have something that would give away my location or show a person who may be helping me that doesn't want to be shown, stuff like that. It's just complicated. And then, so that's just like my issues with vlogs in general, plus then having to try and find music that I want to use for sort of time-lapsey sections. It's just chaotic and so much going on. And then, like, for the whole situation with the, I need to go back the other way first. Yeah, like with moving vlogs, then it has the added complication of like having to actually move in all the way to finish it, but then I also have the whole situation of once I am moving there, normally it's for school, which means then I get busy, and then it just keeps happening. So I am talking about it now so that I will be like, I have told them that this exists and that I should be working on it, so if it doesn't get posted before I move out again, I will have people coming for me. I need the accountability of the fact that I need to be better about this. And I know that I just made a ton of excuses, but I would also say they are valid excuses, just because it is hard to edit a vlog in uninterrupted, or in interrupted sections for me. Like, if I leave in the middle, I kind of forget the flow of what I was doing, and then it kind of can become more choppy and just not as good, not really what I like. And when I do sit down, I typically do it all at once, which is often like hours worth of editing for me. They're still gold. Okay. And so it's just kind of complicated because it is hard for me to try and get to that and set that much time aside while I'm in school. That should be another finals week thing that I work on, since I just talked about how I will not be necessarily having a lot of in-person finals. I will do hops because I have way too many of them. Unfortunately, I accidentally put a different thing in one of my little kegs in the corner. So it's gonna be off time, but it is wine. So if I put hops that gets done faster with wine that I started a day earlier, we'll see. Hopefully that works. I don't really know how the timing of those compare because I haven't paid attention to the exact days of how long these things take. I know some people really like to do that with Stardew Valley, where they look up every single detail of all of it, like trying to totally optimize everything, trying to do things that take the shortest amount of time but also earn the most, stuff like that. And I feel like that's fun to do sometimes, and I definitely do have games where I do stuff like that. But I love just casually playing this game, and I think it shows in the fact that I have over 140 videos of this particular farm so far. But it's like, I just love the environment of this game, and a big part of it is that it's so relaxing and just enjoyable and peaceful, and I feel like trying to rush through that, at least for me, kind of makes the experience feel more forced and artificial and more like getting to a specific end goal, where I like the process of getting there. Also, I love that these are gold already, but I also know they'll probably stay gold for a long time. But yeah, like, Stardew Valley for me is just such a, I guess escapist is kind of a good way to put it in a way, because it's just such a great place to just go hang out and enjoy it. And I feel like being so focused on an end goal and getting to that, it's like I like to focus on the present in this game. And yeah, there are times where I'm like, I need to get this, so I have to do all this stuff really, really fast and all that. But I'm still trying to be like very present with it, and I feel like that's something that I kind of need to bring more into my actual life too. Like, I just got the same one twice. It's, those look like the inverse of each other, just horizontally and vertically. But like, it's so easy to be like, I have all of these assignments and this is coming up and I should have done this yesterday and I didn't, and this is this other thing that I need to be focusing on. It's so easy to just completely get overwhelmed by all that and not really focus on just the day-to-day moments. And I've actually actively been doing mindfulness every day this year so far. I have not missed a day, which is exciting. Just like how I have over 1,500 days on Duolingo. But yeah, like, I feel like it's just such a good game for just even just getting all this ore and getting my geodes done. Like, some people would be like, oh, that's not working toward this specific thing. I don't really care. I love it. It's so peaceful and enjoyable, and I have donated way more than I thought I had. What the heck? Okay. Do I have time? Possibly, if I use mine carts to dump stuff and come back. if I go to the right minecart, which I almost clicked on mines, which would have wasted me time and been bad. Also, if my voice sounds a little weird today, because I think it might, I was recording this podcast episode, like I said, and we did a ton of takes of it over the weekend. And then I also did a recording yesterday where I also, when I was editing, I thought my voice sounded a little weird. And I think it's because I did way more talking than usual because of this podcast recording. For like 3 hours we were just talking a lot, so not really used to that. I live by myself. I talk during recordings and live streams and to my dog, and then other than that I don't really have that many people to talk to. So being home and doing a ton of socializing and then also doing so much work on that podcast, I think now my voice sounds weird today. And I don't know exactly what it is that's why it sounds weird, but I just feel like it does. I think this one's malachite, and I remember in 10th grade in my biology class, 2 of my lab group mates got into a very vicious fight about whether it's called malachite or malachite. And it was a bit heated. It was honestly kind of funny. It's always really funny to watch people get into a really, really heated discussion about something that's really insignificant. As long as it's like not hurting anyone. I know sometimes they escalate into more damaging situations, but in this, it was just like a little bit of verbal abuse at each other, but mostly just both of them being completely outraged that the other person thought it was pronounced the other way. That kind of thing is just really amusing to me. Especially like the age group that it was, because it's like we were in 10th grade having this very serious lab that we were working on. I mean, it wasn't like very serious. It wasn't like something morbid or anything like that. It was just like we were doing science and doing our biology lab, and then at one point one of them, I don't know why, mentioned the word malachite, but said it in a way that the other person thought it wasn't said, and they just started absolutely infuriatingly like, how dare you think it's like that? That's so dumb. No one would ever pronounce it like that. And then they tried to get the rest of the people at the lab table involved and like pick a side, who's right. And we're both just like, you started this. Like, we're not gonna say anything. And it was hilarious because then they were still super annoyed with each other, but then they were also just kept shooting glares at both of us for not taking a side. And then basically the way that that argument ended was the one who was saying malachite as malachite, to kind of prove her point about how stupid malachite is refused to call the other gemstone anything other than Rubby for the rest of the quarter semester, whatever schedule I was on in 10th grade. So that was a very interesting class and also a very chaotic lab group. We were, and I feel like this is gonna come across a little bit egotistical, but it's not meant to be, because I feel like everyone in the class knew. We were also, like, the best lab group in the class, because we got into crazy discussions like that and stuff, but we were also almost always the first one done, and we were the ones who, like, actually really paid attention to stuff. In, like, other lab groups, they would have, like, a couple people who were kind of focused, but most of the people were kind of fooling around and, or just not really putting as much energy into doing the work. And we were always, like, super on top of everything. So it was interesting because we would get our work done pretty fast because we paid good attention, and then we just finished up our lab and then went off on these crazy tangents and these arguments like this. And that was one of the first classes where we got to play Kahoot a lot, which was fun because we did, like, pairs Kahoot, where instead of everyone being individual, sometimes we did that, but other times we would do it where two people would look at the same screen and answer. And I feel like a lot of people know what Kahoot is, but in case you don't, it's basically like a real-time sort of trivia game where a teacher or someone can make questions and have multiple choice answers, and then people enter a code into whatever device they're using, and they look at the questions on their own screen, tap the answer on their own screen, and you get a better score for getting the right answer the fastest, and then it sort of shows your ranking compared to everyone else. And anyway, because we would do it in pairs sometimes, often our lab group would split in half because there were 4 of us, and we were always the 2 pairs that were competing for the top spot. That was fun. I miss Kahoot. Kahoot is such a fun way to study. I feel like making games out of studying is helpful. I also have played Jeopardy for a class in college that was really, really funny because it was the stagecraft class that I was taking, and there are 3 levels of that class, but they all meet kind of at the same time, so they work together on one set for whatever show. But also they learn stuff about theater types and theater history and other things, like what different power tools are called. And so for the midterm, they would do a review by playing Jeopardy. And because at this particular time I was the only person in the highest level, I had a completely different midterm because I was learning about the unions and the fly systems and stuff, and I already knew all the stuff that was on their midterm. So I got to help with Jeopardy for them, and it was hilarious because they were really, really out of balance at Final Jeopardy. Like, one team I think almost 10,000 points ahead of the second team, and there were 3 teams total. So 2 were like really trailing, and 1 was just miles ahead. And we get to Final Jeopardy, and it was absolutely hilarious because they all had to write down how much they wagered on the question. And the question was, they knew the topic of it, but they didn't know the question, and they all wagered all of it except for one group wagered all except 1 point. And going into it, they seemed kind of confident. They got the question, the groups looked confident, and then oh yeah, lots of eggplants. So I had collected all of the things where they wrote down how much they wagered and their answers, because that was the only one that they actually wrote down. And I read the first one and it was wrong, and they wagered it all, so they lost all their points. And I read the second one and it was also wrong, and they'd wagered all their points. And then I read the third one and it was correct, but they had not written it as a question because it was Jeopardy, which made it wrong. So all the groups lost all their points except for one group had 1 point at the end, where before it had been like 20,000, 10,000, and like 7,000. And the way that it's supposed to work is that the whole group that wins Jeopardy, all of them get an extra credit point on their midterm, and because they all failed so badly, my teacher and I like exchanged a glance, and he's like, yeah, you get extra credit on your midterm for dealing with this, and like scoring them, because this I think he ultimately gave a little bit, like 1 point to everyone, but it was still really funny. Anyway, I just wanted to end that story because that story is very fun. I love that class. I miss that class. This guy gave me 4 at once. Either that or I didn't pick them up the other day, but I think I did. Anyway, I am going to leave this here for now. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you liked it. I hope you liked my random ramblings about many things in this episode. Like I said, daylight savings time is messing with me, and I am very out of it. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!